It is fight night, San Antonio, Texas, Freeman Coliseum Expo Hall, TMB Promotions, Star Power. Shamaya Reed, Rudy Campos Jr., Mark, Sweep the League Radio. I am Refocus Radio, Baller Boys Podcast. We are in the house. The crowd is here. Local San Antonio boxing future stars of tomorrow. TMB Promotions, Star Power. Let's get to the highlights.
Shamaya on the beat.
Very special boxer, Miss Devany Cuevas. She made her pro debut at the TMB Promotions. We're going to go 5 rounds with Devany here. I'm hoping she doesn't knock me out in any of these rounds, but if she does, it's okay. I've got a pretty good doctor. We are joined by Devany Cuevas. Devany, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good too. Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm kind of a little nervous here. Like you kind of went for your debut. I'm talking to a 1-0 fighter. You won your first pro bout. It was against Leanne Calderon. So I'm shaking in my boots because, like I said, I don't want to get that jab or that left cross and get knocked out.
Sir.
We got to get through the questions first before you do that. But again, appreciate you having us on. This is our Sweep the League Spotlight, going 5 rounds with Devany Cuevas. So first and foremost, we want to wish you the absolute best and congratulations on your victory. I got to ask you, what was the feeling like after winning your debut bout against Leanne Calderon?
Oh, well, thank you so much for your wishes. And after I won, I got off the ring and it was like, I was telling my parents, like, I didn't know what was going on in that moment. I thought it was just a dream. Like I had won. And then when we were in the back, training or, taking all my gear off, I looked at my dad and I was like, we did it. And it was pure excitement. And I was so proud of myself because I put in months. That was years of training and months of training as well. So I was super proud of myself. I was super proud of my performance. And yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to you at the press conference, and that was one of the interviews that we ended up doing at the press conference. And I just remember telling the guys, I was like, this is going to be a tremendous bout between Leanne and Devany. It's going to be probably one of the bouts that's going to be most anticipated. And it actually was one of my fight of the nights. It was one of the great, bouts for the TMB Promotions, but the crowd was, it was electric there. We enjoyed it from start to finish. So the crowd was amazing at the TMB Promotions event. But as far as the crowd goes, what part did the crowd play in your pro debut? We're talking as far as did they help calm your nerves down? I mean, did you feel a little more excited, encouragement? Because where I was standing, I definitely heard cheers for both of you. But I believe your family was right next to me, so I had a little bit more cheering. But how was that crowd playing for you?
Oh, gosh. They gave me a lot of encouragement. I was like, all these people came to see me. I can't let them down. I have to win one way or another. So they helped me calm my nerves down, of course. They gave me a lot of encouragement. One of my amateur fights, my family, my crowd, they were chanting my name, and I heard them as well on the very last round. It was like the very last 10 seconds of the bout, and they were like, Dev, and it just gave me this excitement to keep on going, to not let them down. So yeah, it was a lot of encouragement from their side.
Yeah, it was brilliant. That atmosphere was awesome, and I kind of started thinking I have to be neutral, because in media you got to be neutral, but I'm standing in Devany country right there. And I'm like, I can't chant, but it was very, very good. The crowd was simply amazing. But going from the crowd atmosphere to a more personal atmosphere, what was the atmosphere like with your family, after getting that victory in your debut? Because like you said, you came off the ring, you were going to the back, and it's just kind of like, this is a dream. This is a dream. And then when you finally kind of snapped into it and you looked at your dad and you said, we did it. But as far as the entire family, because when I saw you come back to where the crowd was, it was just like movie star red carpet treatment. Everybody wanted a picture. I was lucky enough to go up to you, say congratulations, and after that, I had to put my gloves away, no get autographs or anything. But
Oh.
how is that atmosphere for you with the family aspect?
Well, my grandparents, they were there, and whenever I went back to them after I won and everything, I went back to them, and they've never seen me fight like before, not even in amateurs. This was their first time seeing me fight. So I went and I hugged my grandma, and she was like, "You don't know how proud I am of you. You did it. You've put a lot of work into this." And then my grandpa, he told me the same thing. He was like, I'm so proud that you're wearing my last name on your shorts. And they were crying, and then they made me cry. And my mom came in and she told me the same thing. They were all just super proud of me, not because I had won, just because there was a lot of people that were doubting me. And at times I would doubt myself too. So my mom always told me, keep on going, that I was gonna do good. And she was like, "Why did I tell you? I told you this from the beginning." And it was just amazing. Like, they've given me so much support throughout this last few months. And until now, like, we look at the fight and everything, and my mom still gets excited. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to get an anxiety attack. I got to get away from this." And I was like, "Lady, calm down. You already know the outcome." But it's just, they're really proud of me at the moment. And they were really proud of me back then too.
It was a great moment. And
Yeah.
I kind of was, I had to follow the fights afterwards, and, just looking at you and your family there, and amongst other boxers, there was a lot of boxers that came out after their bouts. They were with their family. It, it's, I have to say, I grew up in San Antonio. I've been here my entire life. So the background on San Antonio is family. It's
Yeah.
so close and close knit city that family is family, and seeing it after your debut and after your victory, it just, it was a really touching moment. I'm glad I was in the area to see those moments with you and your family. And now that you've got your first, pro debut, you got the first bout under your belt. Are you excited to get back in the ring? What's the anticipation like? Because I think after you get that first win, you're like, I can go next weekend, can't you?
Yeah. Actually, I know Morones, he's gonna have another event on August.
Mhm.
So as soon as I stepped out of the ring, one of my friends, they were like, "Yeah, he already put you down for August 20th, which is the next time he's gonna have a little event there." So we're just waiting to see if there's an opponent at 118. I'm not fighting anymore at 122. I couldn't make the 122 weight. I always stuck to 118. So we're fighting at 118.
Man, that's kind of an exclusive here, because I didn't know that you were primarily fighting at 118. I was just assuming it was at the 122. But now that we know that, going into August, is there a specific opponent you are looking at? Is there, a specific boxer that you're thinking, okay, this would make for a great debut? Because TMB Promotions, they tend to put on a really good card. So I can pretty much guarantee that Rick's going to do anything and everything he can to give you the best opponent and make it a great bout. But is it kind of where the cards fall, or do you actually have somebody in mind that you're looking at?
I don't have anybody in mind that I'm looking at right now that it's my weight and is fighting here in San Antonio or just around. It's just whoever wants to fight, then I guess we'll get it. We'll get it going.
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So Devany, coming off of that pro debut, getting the victory, you just went 5 rounds with me. I don't have a black eye. I don't have a fat lip. I'm safe. So I didn't get knocked out. Everything went smooth, and I am just I'm grateful that you were able to give us the opportunity to talk to us and get you, like I said, 5 rounds with you on these 5 questions. We got to know you a little bit more. We're looking forward to covering you a whole lot more in the future, especially with August coming up. If you're going to be on that card, we are certainly going to be looking to go out there. But before we go, this is your time to shine. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody out there? You got a lot of fans after what I saw.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you to you for having me here with you guys today. It means a lot. And I want to give a shout out to just my family and my coach. They've really helped me become who I am right now in the sport and out of the sport as well. They're like the real MVP for sure.
Good job. Good job. And that's, again, thank you for having giving us the opportunity to having you on. It was an honor to watch you fight. We're looking forward to very, very, very many more times to see you in the ring. And I'm pretty confident this isn't going to be your only victory. I'm pretty sure you're going to be getting a lot more soon. That is 5 rounds with Devany Cuevas. She said she's going to be fighting again in August. So fingers crossed that does happen. If she is on the card for TMB Promotions, we will be helping promote that as well for Rick, as well as Devany. You'll find us out there at the TMB Promotions again in August coming up. But until then, Devany, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much, sir. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
That is Devany Cuevas. This is 5 rounds with Sweep the League, Rudy Campos Jr. Till we see y'all again.
Hey, man, what's up? This is Sweep the League. I'm Shemaiah, man. You know me as Shemaiah on the beat, but I'm just here representing Mr. Rudy himself, the lead of Sweep the League Radio, and also, man, representing Baller Boys and Army Focus Radio podcast. We have the one and only Leanne Calderon. And I just want to say first, man, you put one heck of a fight when you fought against your opponent. And take us back, man. What was that night like? Because the crowd was on fire.
It was pretty loud. It was, I enjoy it. I enjoy being in the ring, and I enjoy having family and friends around. It's kind of like, old school backyard, brawl. You have all your friends or homies, rooting you on. And, but it was fun. It was so much fun. I was so focused. There were not as many nerves as I was expecting to have, with it being my second fight.
And this fight that we're talking about that happened in May 28th, TMB Promotions presents Star Power. And man, you fought against Devany and she did get the win, but y'all were great sportsmanships. I mean, y'all were really nice in the ring. I mean,
Right,
I was
right.
shocked. I was like, there's no beef. I'm sure there's beef when you're fighting, but y'all
Right.
really had a lot of respect for each other. Why was that?
Definitely. Well, I had met her actually before we had a sparring match, and we welcome all female fighters or anyone who wants to come and spar. But our door's always open. We run a Christian type, boxing. It's called outreach boxing, but we have love and respect for all. There was no bad blood. There's no reason to hate on anyone or to have that, but as a mutual female, there's always that respect. You're going in there, you're working hard, and you're putting it all out there. And for females to actually have technique in this sport says a lot. And she has a lot, and she grew up with boxing. So it was a pleasure to share the ring with her, and I hope we get to do it again.
Well, I'm sure that will happen in the future, man. When you have this sport is very, at times, can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And it could be very just both opponents going at each other like real bad.
Right.
When you are protecting yourself, I mean, how do you train for these fights to make sure that you're going in with the techniques and having the smart so that way you're as healthy as possible?
Definitely. So we do spar, but we use headgear, which is fun because after my first professional match, we didn't use headgear. So I'm like, the blows definitely, I could feel them. You're getting touch and you could feel it. So when I transitioned back to sparring with headgear, I was like, oh, this is nothing. Like, let's go in, and it helps you focus more to be able to protect yourself for the future fights.
And once again, talking to the one and only Leanne Calderon and representing Sweep the League. Shout out to you, Rudy, big man. And when you started boxing, I mean, what inspired you to say, hey, I want to try this on a professional level? Like, I want to actually try to do this. What inspired you to make that jump, and why did you choose that sport of boxing?
Well, I started off doing MMA, and I had my daughter after that full year that I was off. COVID hit, and then I was off for another year. So it took me a little while, but I've always wanted to sharpen my skills with boxing. I've always had that brawler type in MMA. So I was like, you know what? Let me focus and work on my hand technique and see, where we can progress. And I've always, loved throwing hands. So I'm like, let's see where we can get in a year. And I told my coach when I went in there, I was like, look, I would really like to try to pursue this. So let's see where we can get. And if we can get a few amateur fights and then jump to the professionals, let's do it. So just with the full year of training strictly boxing, that's where I got. And it's pretty awesome to be able to say that, because like I said, a lot of these other fighters have been doing it since they were younger, or they have a huge amateur background. And I don't. I have like 3 or 4 amateur fights under my belt. And so, yeah.
And you say you were in MMA, so share with the audience what's the major difference from MMA and boxing, and how they're totally different.
So my biggest thing is that I loved being barefooted. It sounds weird, but I didn't have to wear shoes. But you do so many other types of martial arts compared to just protecting yourself with your hands. If you get hit and you get stunned, like you said, you get hit flush, with someone's power, you're going to feel it. And your only go-to is to either pick up your hands or start throwing. You protect yourself or you start throwing. And in MMA, you can take them to the ground, you can wrestle, you can choke them out. There's so many other ways to win, but there's also so many other ways to get hit. So, there's those ups and its downs, but definitely being able to protect yourself as a boxer, it takes a lot more skill, I think.
Once again, have an honor talking to Leanne. and the amazing event that we were talking about earlier in this interview on May 28th, big shout out to the CEO of TMB Promotions, Rick Morones Jr., because he put on an amazing event. The atmosphere, like I said, was amazing. And what I really liked was boxers were even watching other boxers after they were done. Like after you sweating it all out, you're still supporting all the other athletes. How important is that atmosphere when you see other athletes supporting one another?
It's a huge boost, especially to hear the afterwards. They sit there and they see it, and someone who's gone through the same things that you go through, the training, the camps, the nutrition, everything else. And then to hear them say, oh, you did this great, or you did that great, or, I thought you won. That gives you another, like, all right, that's another notch in my belt. Like, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Instead of hearing it from someone who doesn't really know the ins and outs of it. But it's a big boost, definitely.
And when you look into the future, as we wrap this interview up, what is it that's going to be next for Leanne? What are some of the things you plan to do to prep for your next match? And what's some things that you are excited about in your near future?
Well, at the moment, my mind and my heart is set on going and reclaiming the 2 fights. 1, the first draw, and 2, the one that we just lost, which we thought was very close. So I want that, I want to reclaim those 2 and then move on to the next. And right now, San Antonio is hot with all the female fighters. So let's take on all the San Antonio girls and then move on from there. But I'd really like to start, obviously getting wins under my belt and showing my name and what I can do.
And last question, when you look at, you mentioned San Antonio being a hot spot now for female fighters, for the younger female fighters who want to get their chance in the whole industry, what encouragement will you give to them for them to prep their mindset and also their endurance of just stepping up every day to be ready for their fights?
Is regardless of how you feel, show up and train. You, especially being a female, we go through all the hormonal things and different changes. You still got to work through it, because no matter what, whenever you get in the ring, you never know what's going to happen on that day. So show up and train even when you don't feel like it. Keep your goal in mind. Know what you're striving for. And once you set that goal, don't stop until you get it.
Well, you've been listening to Sweep the League Radio. I'm Shemaiah, filling in for the boss himself, Rudy Campos Jr. Shout out to you, man, doing big things. And also, real quick, shout out to Rick Morones Jr., the CEO of TMB Promotions. He did an amazing event on May 28th. You got more interviews lined up, but I just want to say thank you, Leanne, for taking time. Your super busy schedule talking to us today.
No problem. I appreciate y'all having me out here.